Hello students and welcome back to the video lecture series of web programming. Today's topic is web design. I am your instructor Ms. Shruti Raval. So in last lecture we had studied introduction about www internet and some of the basics of server and web browser. In today's lecture we are going to see some of the web design issues that a designer faces whenever he or she is designing a website. The next thing we will see is what are the points that we need to take into consideration while planning a website. And the last thing that we are going to see is what do you mean by effective navigation and what are some of the examples of bad navigation. So let us start with the first topic of today's lecture, that is web design issues. First we will list down the web design issues and then we will see each of them in detail. The first web design issue is browser and operating system. The second issue is bandwidth and cache. The third issue is display resolution. Fourth issue is look and feel of the website. Fifth issue is page layout and linking. It means how will you lay out your page. There are certain sections, for example center, top, bottom, right. So this is known as page layout. Linking, it means how are you linking one page to another. Sixth web design issue is user-centric design. It means are you developing a website which is user-centric or not. And the last issue is are you providing a sitemap, and if yes, how is your sitemap looking. So let us start with the first issue, that is browser and operating system. Now you may wonder that ma'am, what has this browser and operating system to do with our website designing? Basically your web pages are written in HTML, right? And browser is the software that will interpret or parse this HTML tags and let it display to you. But different browsers and their different versions greatly affect the way that your HTML page is rendered. Why? Because if you recall, in the last lecture we had seen the architecture of browser, which consists of rendering engine. So this rendering engine is responsible for parsing your HTML documents. So every browser and every version of browser may have different rendering machines. So it is possible that sometimes it interprets, one browser interprets HTML tag in some another way, whereas another browser interprets it in some different way. So also it is a possibility that different versions of HTML also support different set of tags. Now each set of tag may or may not be supported by every version of your browser, right? For example, initially we had Internet Explorer. Now that is a very basic browser which we do not use nowadays, but still if you are running your website inside Internet Explorer, there are set of tags which Internet Explorer may not support. So how will that Internet Explorer respond to this new set of tags which it is not able to render, right? So that is a problem while you are designing the website. Also along with browser we have one hardware, that is operating system, on which we are working. So it is a possibility that your operating system also interprets your versions of HTML differently, right? So if you are using Windows operating system or Linux operating system, whatever operating system you are using, browsers may work slightly different in different hardware platform as well as different operating system. So what is the basic need that web designer needs to do? To make a web page portable, you have to thoroughly test it on different browsers and on different operating system, right? So this is the only procedure that you have to follow, apart from developing your website in a responsive way. The next issue is bandwidth and cache. Now we know that it is a possibility that different users have different connection speed, that is they have different bandwidth to access your website. Now connection speed plays a very important role in designing the web pages, because if a user has lower bandwidth connection, what will happen? If your website, for example, consists of a high level of images or video and audio, it will take more time to download those images, audio and video media, right? So you have to first analyze what is your targeted audience or targeted users, what is the average bandwidth that your targeted users will have, and accordingly you will have to design your web page. There should be a balance between the text and multimedia that you are using on your web page. There should be, I'm not telling that there should be excessive text, right, because that also will frustrate the user, but there should be a balance between the multimedia, that is images, sound, audio, because they take a longer time to download if you have lower bandwidth, whereas text will load faster. So that is, you have to first analyze the targeted user, you have to analyze the general average bandwidth, and then you have to design your web page accordingly, right? Also, browser provides a temporary memory, and that is called cache, to store the graphics. So you have to also design your web page accordingly and see that whether you are using graphics thoroughly or not. If you are using much of the graphics, then also it is a problem, because yes, they will be stored in the cache, but cache is also a temporary space, that is a temporary memory. So after a certain point of time, the graphics will be deleted from the cache memory, and again the web page will be loaded with all those graphics, so it will again take a longer amount of time, right? So you have to take into consideration this both, that is bandwidth and cache, and when the user gives the URL of the web page for the first time, you know that HTML file together with all the graphics will be loaded and displayed. So now you need to analyze this bandwidth and cache and design your web page accordingly. The next important design issue is display and resolution. Now display resolution is a factor to be considered while designing a web page, because we again as developers do not have any control on display resolution of the monitors which users will use, right? So the common display resolution should be analyzed. It is by default in the website design industry analyzed that the common resolutions of monitors are 800 into 600 and 1024 into 786 pixels. So you have to design your web page accordingly. The higher the resolution, the greater the clarity, but the lower the resolution, the clarity will have some sort of compromise. Now, what choice do we have, or how can we design the web page according to the display resolution of our targeted users? The first thing is, you can design a web page with fixed resolution. Now this is the easiest scheme possible, that you first analyze the targeted users display resolution, take the average display resolution, and you make your website according to that average resolution. So you have a fixed resolution and you are developing the website according to that display resolution. All the other users which do not have that resolution may have to compromise with the viewing of your website. The second choice is, you can make a more flexible design using HTML table, right? So HTML provides you a tag called table, and you can use this magical tag in such a way that this can be fit into different resolutions, right? So you have to develop such a responsive website using HTML table tag such that it fits into different resolution. Also, you may use a centered theme, because we know that if you use a left hand side theme, then your content in some of the monitors may be cut, right? Also, if you have some sort of right hand side theme, then also right hand side theme may be cut. So if this left hand side theme and right hand side theme does not work, another alternative is you can go for the centered theme, so that nothing remains blank and nothing gets cut, right? So this is also one of the possible option that you may go for. But apart from all these possible options, the best option is that we have to use some sort of frameworks, for example Material Design or Bootstrap, which already provides you responsive web designing, right? So that is the best option possible that you have to take into consideration. But still, if you do not want to go for framework and use core HTML and CSS, then you can go for the above possible options which I have listed, right? The next issue is look and feel of your website. Now look and feel, it means it is basically deciding the overall aesthetic of your website, which the user is able to view. It is including all the design aspects such as website theme. So you have to decide the website theme according to the targeted audience. For example, you are designing a website for college. You have to select a theme according to your college website. If you are designing a website for children, specifically infants, you have to use more colors or more images that children may get excited to. If you are developing a website for something subtle audience, right, you have to use the pastel colors or monochromes theme you can use for that type of audience, right? So website theme is very important, and for choosing the website theme you first have to again see who are the targeted users. Next is website typography. Typography is also one of the most important issue that you need to take into consideration. Grammatical errors in your websites, not cool. Any spelling mistakes in your website, not good, right? So you have to thoroughly check the website content. Graphics also are very in trend today, but still overuse of graphics may be troublesome, because you know that graphics get stored in cache, it will sometime delete in the cache, again you have to load the graphics, that will again create some sort of time issues for loading your web pages. So efficient use of graphics is necessary. The visual structure, it means how will your content be organized in your website or web page, that is very important. If you put a menu exactly in the center of your web page, is it aesthetically good? No, because we are used to menu either horizontally in the topmost of your web page, or you can have some menus, vertical menus in the left hand side, right? The right hand side menus and center menus are visually not very good. The next is navigation. Obviously the linking of one page to another, if I am going from one page to another, if there is much load on my remembrance, then that is not a good navigation structure, right? I don't need to remember that if I am moving from one page to another, now where am I and where next, how can I go? So this is not a cool structure for navigation. You must provide a sitemap if you have number of pages in your website. If you have limited web pages, it is okay if you don't provide sitemap. But if you have multiple pages, for example, if you have hundreds of web pages and you have this linking structure without a sitemap, user will obviously get confused, where am I and where I should go next, right? So these all are the things related to look and feel of your website which you need to consider while designing your website. The next topic is, again, we are talking about navigation. We have already told what is navigation. Basically all the web pages in your websites are linked together. It means there is hyperlink on a web page. If I click on a web page, I get redirected to some another web page. This linking of web pages is called navigation. Now along with navigation, page layout also defines the visual structure that we have discussed, that your page is basically divided into some of the portions. Let us see that if you have a computer screen, what are the major areas in which your computer screen can be divided. So basically web designers had divided your computer screen into 5 major areas, as you can see: center, top, right, left and bottom. right? And you have the importance in this particular order only. It means center is the most important area. Whenever I view a website or a web page, the first thing that will catch my attention is the center of my web page. The next thing that will catch my attention is the top of the web page. The next thing will be right, then the bottom, and then the left, right? So this is how human eye work according to the computer screen's major areas interaction. If you want to design a website, now you have an idea that the most important content should be put in the center area. Then you can put the next important content on the top, then on the right, then on the bottom, and then on the left, right? So this is how you have to design your web page. So you can see over here, this is one of the example of page layout wherein you have a horizontal top menu. In between you have the actual news that you want to get displayed on your web page, and user catches the attention at the center of the web page as soon as it visits the web page. On the right hand side you have some secondary menu, right? Also you have a whole logo and image that you are displaying in the top center, which also catches the user's attention immediately as soon as he or she enters your web page, right? So this is how you can organize visually the content of your web page according to the importance of areas that your human eye catches, right? The next is, obviously you are designing this website or web page for your targeted users, right? But it is very difficult to determine the exact behavior of the website users. Still, you can determine the majority of the website design users behavior, and you can make the website according to the general behavior of the users, that is your targeted users, right? So that is, you have to develop a website which is user centric. The next topic is sitemap. So I've told you what is a sitemap. Sitemap is nothing but it is a model of website's content designed to help both users as well as search engines to navigate the site. So sitemap not only helps the users to navigate the pages of your website, but also it helps the search engine to navigate through the pages of your website. Now many a times we have seen that websites are too complex, as there are large number of sections and each sections consist of many pages. Now these normally e-commerce websites, you have seen the shopping portals like Amazon, Flipkart, right? They have multiple sections, multiple filters, and you have multiple pages for each of them. Whenever you have such complex structures, it becomes very difficult for the visitors to quickly move from one part to another, because users may get confused that what is currently the web page they are in and how can I navigate to some another web page, right? So locating the web page becomes troublesome. Now in order to eradicate this problem, what we can do, we can basically design a sitemap so that you get immediately all the links in a precise manner from where your user, if I am on a particular page, by clicking on the sitemap link, I can navigate anywhere in your website. So let us see one example. Now this is an example of sitemap. Here you can see that this is basically a shopping website. So here there are number of categories like tween, girl, boy, baby girl. Inside that particular category also you have favorites, shop by category, favorites, shop by category, right? In shop by category also you have different links like new arrival, special occasion, tea shop, customer favorites, etc. So there are hundreds of links which are available on your web page. If I see on this sitemap, I will get an idea exactly which link to click, and that is what sitemap needs to do, right? Users should not get confused by seeing the sitemap. So if you are using the names of the links such that user is not getting an idea by clicking on this link, where will be redirected, then that sitemap is totally useless. So the link name is very important while you are designing the sitemap. Now let us see that if you are planning a website, what are the important steps in planning or developing a website. The first thing is maximum focus should be on user satisfaction whenever you are planning a website, because if user is satisfied, that it means you have developed a successful website. But before we start developing a website, we should ask ourselves questions such as, why are we developing this website? So what is the basic motive or aim of developing this website, right? After answering this question, actually we will get the motive or aim of developing the website, right? So that is the first question we need to ask before developing the website. The next is, what do we achieve by developing the website? So after answering this question, we will get the actual output of developing this website, right? So for example, you are developing a college website. What will be the output of developing a college website? Obviously, your college will have its presence in the World Wide Web. People will able to view the information about your college. They will be aware that this particular college exists in this particular city, and the admissions which previously were struggling, they may increase, right? So these all are the output that you may achieve by developing a college website. The next question is, who are the people who will use this website? So again, answering this question will take us to the targeted audience who are going to use our website, right? So we know that designing a website is only a success if we know the targeted users and we design according to them. So we must ask these questions, that who are the people who will use this website. The next is, what are the information contents? Now we know that web page is nothing but it is an accumulation of information that we need to provide to some targeted user. So first we have to decide what will be the information content that will be displayed on each page, right? The next thing is, how are these contents organized, and what are the possible ways? We know that visual structure is very important for putting this information content. We have accumulated the information content, that I have bunch of images, I have bunch of text, I have bunch of audio, I have bunch of video, right? So you have accumulated all the multimedia as well as the text that you want to put on your web page, but how will you put your content on a particular web page? So the organization of the information content is the next question that you need to ask while developing a website. So these were all the important points that you need to consider while you are developing or planning a website. The next thing is effective navigation. Now redundantly I am focusing or emphasizing on telling you that navigation in your website is very important, because it is the most important design element of any website. Navigation means that you are moving from one page to another, right? And you move from one page to another by using hyperlink that is provided on a page. If navigation is not proper on your page, user will feel problematic, or he or she may feel frustrated in moving around the pages, and if they get confused, they may leave your site, right? So it is very important that you provide an effective navigation. The next is some of the examples of bad navigation, right? So here you can see that I told you that center menu is visually not very exciting. If I see a menu in center of my web page, this is not a very common place to put any menu, right? So this is a non-standard location. So try to use standard locations. Menu is either on the top or on the left or on the right. It is never exactly in the center of your web page. That is a non-standard location. So try to put the information content in the standard locations that users are actually acquainted to see. The next example of bad navigation is do not use generic labels for your links. I told you that you have to be precise in using the hyperlink labels. If you use this kind of labels in your hyperlink, user will get confused that what am I doing here, right? If I click on this link, where will I be redirected? That is, if there is a confusion by viewing the link that where he or she will be redirected, that link is of no use. So it is better that you thoroughly first analyze what are the links on your web page, give a particular name which will be precise and it will be meaningful, right? The next example of bad navigation is a drop down menu, because if you have a menu that is drop down in this particular link format, that is a bad usability and it is also bad for search engines, right? So try to use some another way for this linking strategies. The next example of bad navigation is too many navigation items. So here you can see there are the vertically categories does not end anywhere. So if I view this web page, I will leave this web page immediately because I am unable to recognize which category I want. Instead, you can categorize sections and inside that subsections. That would be again a good procedure to follow instead of listing everything vertically, right? So too many navigation items on a single web page, not good. Also, navigation links are either text based, that is a word or a phrase is used as a link, or they are graphical, that is you have an image, an icon or a logo that you can use as a link. Navigation links should be clear, precise and meaningful. It should be consistent. If I have used, for example, if I have multiple web pages, if all my web pages are vertically scrollable, right? If I am somewhere down the web page, at the bottom of the web page, I have a button back to top. If I click on that button, I redirect to the top of the web page. Now in one web page, I am writing on that button back to top. In another web page, I am writing top. In another web page, I am writing something different. Now this indicates non-consistent behavior in your single website. That is not accepted in your navigation links. The next is link should be understandable. If I write random names, if I write technical jargons in the link name, normal novice user do not understand such jargons, so it is not advisable to use such names for the navigation links. Organize the links such that they are grouped logically, right? So if you have a particular section for men, all the links inside that should be related to that particular group only. So somewhere inside the logical group of men's clothes, if you have a link which is of women's clothes, then that is not a logical grouping. Next is, it is very important to provide a search link on the top of the page. Hardly you will see any website which does not have the search facility. Searching is very common nowadays because if user is not able to view the link on your web page, he or she will go at the top of your web page, have a text box which has that search icon, type in the search icon and he or she may be redirected to the actual web page that they want, right? So search link is very important. Now also any web page must have the common links such as contact us or about us, right? Also you must provide a way to return to the first page of your website. So every web page, if you redirect to any web page, user should not get lost. There should be a way in which the user can redirect to the first web page. Also he or she must be provided with the information regarding the location. Horizontal navigation bar can be provided on each page to directly jump to any section, right? So there are some certain general sections which users want to jump to. If you provide a horizontal bar which is fixed, in every web page, I can click on that link and get redirected to a particular section. So horizontal navigation bar, which has a fixed position in every web page, is a smart way for navigation. Right, so these were some of the tips for effective navigation and some of the examples of bad navigations. I hope now there is some general idea that if you want to design a website, what things you need to consider first, right? So this was all about today's lecture. Thank you.